There were 3 orphan girls who lived with their grandmother in a small cottage in the middle of the forest. Even though they were young, they worked hard to help their grandmother, who had taken care of them since their parents passed away. One night, the 3 girls sat around a small fire with their grandmother. The eldest sister said, "I want to marry the Sultan's cook. That way I will never be hungry again. I will eat delicious food and meat every day." The other girls laughed at her wish, but she added with confidence, "This is my dream." Then the middle sister smiled and said excitedly, "I want to marry the Sultan's pastry chef. I want to enjoy all the sweets and cakes that I have never tasted before." Both sisters then turned to look at the youngest sister, who was sitting quietly with a soft smile. Curious, they asked her, "And what about you? Who do you dream of marrying?" The youngest sister hesitated and said shyly, "I won't tell you because you will laugh at me." Her sisters promised, "We won't laugh. Please tell us." She sighed and then said softly but with confidence, "I want to marry the prince." For a moment, the 2 sisters were silent. Then they burst into laughter and said, "The prince? Do you really think the prince would marry a simple girl like you who lives in a small cottage?" The youngest sister's face turned red with embarrassment, but she did not reply. Instead, she looked at her grandmother. The old woman smiled and said wisely, "No one knows what fate has planned for them, my dear children." The next morning, the Sultan was out hunting with his men. As they traveled through the forest and fields, the day became very hot, and the Sultan felt thirsty. Suddenly, he noticed a small cottage near a clear water well. He decided to go closer and ask for a drink. Just as he was about to knock on the door, he heard the voices of the girls inside. They were talking about their daily lives and their dreams. At that moment, the door suddenly opened, and the youngest sister stepped outside. Tears were rolling down her cheeks, but she quickly wiped them away when she saw a tired-looking stranger standing in front of her. She smiled kindly and said, "Welcome, sir. How can I help you?" The Sultan asked for some water. The young girl immediately went to the well and brought him a cool, refreshing drink. But she didn't stop there. She also brought him a piece of warm barley bread and a little oil. Then she said, The young girl blushed and said shyly, "Forgive me, sir, but this is all we have in our home." The Sultan felt grateful for her kindness and generosity despite her poverty, but he did not reveal his identity. He thanked her politely and ate a little of the food, enjoying its simple taste. At that moment, the 2 older sisters heard the man's voice and rushed outside. When they saw the food their younger sister had given him, they scolded her. "Why did you give him your share of the food? We need this bread. Now you must make new dough and bake more bread for us." The youngest sister nodded calmly and said, "It's okay. I will knead the flour and make more bread. I am happy that I could help this man." While the Sultan ate quietly, he observed the 3 sisters closely. He noticed that the older sisters were selfish, complaining, and ordering their younger sister around without mercy. Meanwhile, the youngest sister was gentle, kind, and worked hard to please everyone without complaining. The Sultan smiled to himself and thought, "This girl deserves a reward for her kindness and generosity." He stood up, thanked the youngest sister for her hospitality, and expressed his appreciation for her selflessness, saying, "Your kindness and good heart will not go unrewarded." The girl did not understand what he meant. but she smiled warmly and wished him well. The next day, the Sultan invited the three sisters to the palace. He had heard their conversation the day before while visiting them in disguise. Smiling at them, he said, "I heard your wishes yesterday, and I want to grant them." Turning to the eldest sister, he asked, "Tell me your wish again." She blushed and said shyly, "I wish to marry your cook, my lord." The Sultan smiled and replied, "Tomorrow, you will be married to my cook." Then he looked at the middle sister and asked, "And what was your wish?" She answered with embarrassment, "I wish to marry the palace pastry chef." The Sultan nodded and said, "Tomorrow you will marry the palace pastry chef." The two sisters looked at their younger sister with mockery and arrogance. The eldest one sneered, "I suppose he will marry you to a camel herder or one of the palace servants." The middle sister laughed and added, "Yes, that's the only future for you. Who would ever choose you? You are just a poor, simple girl." The youngest sister remained silent, not responding to their insults. But when she looked into the Sultan's confident eyes, she felt a strange sense of peace. The wedding day. The next day, a grand wedding was held at the palace. The eldest sister was married to the cook, and the middle sister was married to the pastry chef. They were happy with their marriages but continued to mock their younger sister in front of the guests. Meanwhile, the Sultan sent one of the palace maidservants to take care of the youngest sister. The maid led her to the royal bath, where her hair was washed and carefully combed. Then she was dressed in a beautiful silk gown, embroidered with elegant designs and adorned with stunning jewelry that gave her a royal appearance. The maid smiled at the youngest sister and said, "You will have your own special room that suits your status. But for now, you may go to the palace garden and enjoy its beauty. If you happen to meet the prince, do not speak to him until the third day, as the Sultan has instructed." The youngest sister obeyed. The youngest sister followed the instructions and went down to the palace's spacious garden. She walked among the flowers, picking some and inhaling their sweet scent. Everyone who saw her in the palace stopped and wondered in amazement. Who is this beautiful girl? No one knew that she was the orphan who had lived in a simple cottage just the day before. At that moment, Prince Fakhruddin was sitting with his friends in the palace hall. When the youngest sister walked through the garden, her breathtaking beauty caught everyone's attention. For a moment, all conversation stopped. One of the men said in amazement, "I have never seen a girl as beautiful and graceful as her. She must be the daughter of a king." The prince remained silent, but he could not take his eyes off her. He was captivated by her delicate features, unlike anything he had ever seen before. His admiration was clear, and a strong desire grew in his heart to know who she was. He thought to himself, "I must find out who she is. She cannot be just an ordinary guest." After the girl disappeared from sight, the prince excused himself from his friends and went to the women's wing of the palace where the guests stayed. He asked the palace maids about her, but none of them gave him an answer. His curiosity only grew stronger. The second day. The next day, when he saw her walking in the garden again, the prince decided to approach her. He carefully stepped forward, but before he could say a word, the girl threw a small handkerchief embroidered with golden threads towards him. The prince caught it, and as soon as he held it in his hands, a magical fragrance filled the air. The enchanting scent made his heart race. The smell of the perfume deepened his feelings for her, making him certain that she was no ordinary girl. The prince returned to his chambers, still holding the handkerchief. He thought about her all night, eager to know more about her and to get closer to her. The third day. On the third day, Prince Fakhruddin waited impatiently to meet the girl again. When she appeared, he greeted her, saying, "Hello, I am Prince Fakhruddin. I always see you alone. Where are your servants and maids?" The girl smiled softly and replied, "I serve myself. I have no servants." The prince was surprised by her answer and asked, "Then what is the purpose of wealth?" She replied confidently, "To me, wealth is meant for doing good and helping others, not for owning the world." "Everything in this world will eventually fade away," the girl continued. "What truly matters is the impact we leave behind." Her words made the prince admire her even more. He found wisdom and intelligence in her speech, unlike anything he had ever encountered before. They sat together on a bench in the garden, and the prince listened carefully as she spoke with deep insight. When the girl got up to leave, the prince suddenly felt that he could not bear to be apart from her. He looked at her and asked, "Where should I go if I want to ask for your hand in marriage?" The girl smiled with confidence and replied, "Go to the Sultan. He is the one who knows my true worth." Without hesitation, the prince rushed to his father, the Sultan. He entered his chamber, asking for permission to speak. The Sultan noticed the confusion and emotion on his son's face and asked, "What is troubling you, my son? You seem lost in thought." The prince took the embroidered handkerchief from his pocket, the one the girl had given him, and said, "I have fallen in love with the owner of this handkerchief from the very first moment I saw her. She has captured my heart completely. She told me to come to you. Do you know her?" The Sultan took the handkerchief and examined its beautiful embroidery. He admired its fine details and thought to himself, "It was fate that led me to that cottage, where I found this remarkable girl." Then he turned to the prince and said, "My son, this girl is not the daughter of kings, but she has the ambition of a queen. She is not wealthy, but she has a rich soul. She is not from the noble class, but she has the honor of wisdom and intelligence. Now tell me, do you truly wish to marry her?" Without hesitation, the prince replied, "I want no one but her, father. If she is not mine, I will fall ill and perhaps perish from my love for her." The Sultan smiled, pleased with his son's sincerity. He had already been impressed by the girl's kindness and wisdom, and saw in her a true partner worthy of the prince. So he made his decision. He would grant his son's wish.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel